Mountain biking is the sport of riding bicycles off-road, or often over rough terrain, using specially designed mountain bikes. Mountain bikes share similarities with other bikes, but incorporate features designed to enhance durability and performance in rough terrain. Mountain biking can generally be broken down into multiple categories: cross-country, trail riding, all-mountain, downhill, freeride, and jumping. However, the majority of mountain biking falls into the categories of trail and cross-country riding styles. This individual sport requires endurance, core strength and balance, bike handling skills, and self-reliance. Advanced riders pursue both steep technical descents and high incline climbs. In the case of freeriding, downhilling, and jumping, aerial maneuvers are performed off both natural features and specially constructed jumps and ramps. Mountain biking can be performed almost anywhere from a backyard to a gravel road, but the majority of mountain bikers ride off-road trails, whether country back roads, fire roads, or single track. There are aspects of mountain biking that are more similar to trail running than regular bicycling, because riders are often far from civilization. There is a strong ethic of self-reliance in the sport. Riders learn to repair the broken bike's flat tires to avoid being stranded miles from help. Many riders will carry a backpack, including a water bladder, containing all the essential tools and equipment for trailside repairs. Many riders also carry emergency supplies in the case of injury. Miles from outside help. Club rides and other forms of group rides are common, especially on longer treks. A combination sport named mountain bike orienteering adds the skill of map navigation to mountain biking. History: 1800s. One of the first examples of bicycles modified specifically for off-road use is the expedition of Buffalo soldiers from Missoula, Montana to Yellowstone in August 1896. The Swiss military had its first bike regiment in 1891. 1960s bicycles were ridden off-road by road racing cyclists who used cyclocross as a means of keeping fit during the winter. Cyclocross eventually became a sport in its own right in the 1940s, with the first World Championship taking place in 1950. Between 1951 and 1956, the French Vélo-Cross Club Parisien, comprising about 21 young cyclists from the outskirts of Paris where they were born, developed a sport that was remarkably akin to present-day mountain biking. The Rough Stuff Fellowship was established in 1955 by off-road cyclists in the United Kingdom. In Oregon, one Chemeketen Club member, D. Gwynn, built a rough-terrain trail bicycle in 1966. He named it a mountain bicycle for its intended place of use. This may be the first use of that name. In England in 1968, Jeff Apps, a motorbike trials rider, began experimenting with off-road bicycle designs. By 1979 he had developed a custom-built lightweight bicycle which was uniquely suited to the wet and muddy off-road conditions found in the southeast of England. They were designed around 2-inch x 650B Nokian snow tires, though a 700x47C version was also produced. These were sold under the Cleland Cycles brand until late 1984. Bikes based on the Cleland design were also sold by English Cycles and Highpath Engineering until the early 1990s. 1970s, 1980s there were several groups of riders in different areas of the SA who can make valid claims to playing a part in the birth of the sport. Riders in Crested Butte, Colorado and Cupertino, California tinkered with bikes and adapted them to the rigors of off-road riding. Modified heavy cruiser bicycles, old 1930s and 40s Schwinn bicycles retrofitted with better brakes and fat tires, were used for freewheeling down mountain trails in Marin County, California in the mid to late 1970s. At the time, there were no mountain bikes. The earliest ancestors of modern mountain bikes were based around frames from cruiser bicycles such as those made by Schwinn. The Schwinn Excelsior was the frame of choice due to its geometry. Riders used balloon-tired cruisers and modified them with gears and motocross or BMX-style handlebars, creating clunkers. The term would also be used as a verb since the term mountain biking was not yet in use. Riders would race down mountain fire roads, causing the hub brake to burn the grease inside, or requiring the riders to repack the bearings. These were called repack races, and triggered the first innovations in mountain bike technology as well as the initial interest of the public. The sport originated in California on Marin County's Mount Tamalpais. It was not until the late 1970s and early 1980s that road bicycle companies started to manufacture mountain bicycles using high-tech lightweight materials. Joe Breeze is normally credited with introducing the first purpose-built mountain bike in 1978. Tom Ritchie then went on to make frames for a company called Mountain Bikes, a partnership between Gary Fisher, Charlie Kelly and Tom Ritchie. Tom Ritchie, a welder with skills in frame building, also built the original bikes. The company's three partners eventually dissolved the partnership, and the company became Fisher Mountain Bikes, while Tom Ritchie started his own frame shop. The first mountain bikes were basically road bicycle frames with a wider frame and fork to allow for a wider tire. The handlebars were also different in that they were a straight, transverse-mounted handlebar, rather than the dropped, curved handlebars that are typically installed on road racing bicycles. Also, some of the parts on early production mountain bicycles were taken from the BMX bicycle. Other contributors were Otto Skye and Keith Bontrager. Tom Ritchie built the first regularly available mountain bike frame, which was accessorized by Gary Fisher and Charlie Kelly and sold by the company called Mountain Bikes. The first two mass-produced mountain bikes were sold in the early 1980s, the Specialized Stump Jumper and Univega Alpina Pro. In 2007, the documentary film Clunkers, a film about mountain bikes, was released. The film documents the subject of mountain bike history during this formative period in Northern California. At the time, the bicycle industry was not impressed with the mountain bike, which many regarded as a short-term fad. In particular, large manufacturers such as Schwinn and Fuji failed to see the significance of an all-terrain bicycle and the coming boom in adventure sports. Instead, the first mass-produced mountain bikes were pioneered by new companies such as Mountain Bikes, Ritchie, and Specialized. Specialized was an American start-up company that arranged for production of mountain bike frames from factories in Japan and Taiwan. First marketed in 1981, Specialized's mountain bike largely followed Tom Ritchie's frame geometry, but used TIG welding to join the frame tubes instead of fillet brazing, a process better suited to mass production and which helped to reduce labor and manufacturing cost. The bikes were configured with 15 gears using derail U-shifting, triple chainrings, and 5 rear cogs. 1990s, 2000s. Throughout the 1990s and first decade of the 21st century, mountain biking moved evolved from a little-known sport to a mainstream activity. Mountain bikes and mountain bike gear that was once only available at specialty shops or via mail order became available at standard bike stores. By the mid-first decade of the 21st century, even some department stores began selling inexpensive mountain bikes with full suspension and disc brakes. In the first decade of the 21st century, trends in mountain bikes included the all-mountain bike, the 29er and the single-spit. All mountain bikes were designed to descend and handle well in rough conditions, but still pedal efficiently for climbing, and were intended to bridge the gap between cross-country bikes and those built specifically for downhill riding. They are characterized by 4 to 6 inches of travel. 29er bikes are those using 700cc-sized rims, but wider and suited for tires of 2 inches width or more. The increased diameter wheel is able to roll over obstacles better and offers a greater tire contact patch, but also results in a longer wheelbase, making the bike less agile and in less travel space for the suspension. The single speed is considered a return to simplicity with no drivetrain components or shifters, but thus requires a stronger rider. Following the growing trend in 29-inch bikes, there have been other trends in the mountain biking community involving tire size. One of the more prevalent is the new, somewhat esoteric and exotic 650B wheel size, based on the obscure wheel size for touring road bikes. Another interesting trend in mountain bikes is outfitting dirt jump or urban bikes with rigid forks. These bikes normally use 4 to 5 travel suspension forks. The resulting product is used for the same purposes as the original bike. A commonly cited reason for making the change to a rigid fork is the enhancement of the rider's ability to transmit force to the ground, which is important for performing tricks. In the mid-first decade of the 21st century, an increasing number of mountain bike-oriented resorts opened. Often, they are similar to or in the same complex as a ski resort, or they retrofit the concrete steps and platforms of an abandoned factory as an obstacle course. As with Ray's MTB Indoor Park, mountain bike parks which are operated as summer season activities at ski hills usually include chairlifts which are adapted to bikes, a number of trails of varying difficulty, and bicycle rental facilities. Equipment. Mountain bikes differ from other bikes primarily in that they incorporate features aimed at increasing durability and improving performance in rough terrain. Most modern mountain bikes have some kind of suspension, 26, 27.5 or 29-inch diameter tires, usually between 1.7 and 2.5 inches in width, and a wider, flat or upwardly rising handlebar that allows a more upright riding position, giving the rider more control. They have a smaller, reinforced frame, usually made of wide tubing. Tires usually have a pronounced tread, and are mounted on rims which are stronger than those used on most non-mountain bicycles. Compared to other bikes, mountain bikes also tend to more frequently use hydraulic disc brakes. They also tend to have lower ratio gears to facilitate climbing steep hills and traversing obstacles. Pedals vary from simple platform pedals, where the rider simply places the shoes on top of the pedals, to clipless, where the rider uses a specially equipped shoe with a cleat that engages mechanically into the pedal. Accessories. Glasses with little or no difference from those used in other cycling sports help protect against debris while on the trail. Filtered lenses, whether yellow for cloudy days or shaded for sunny days, protect the eyes from strain. Downhill and freeride mountain bikers often use goggles similar to motocross or snowboard goggles in unison with the full-face helmets. Shoes generally have gripping soles similar to those of hiking boots for scrambling over unrideable obstacles. Unlike the smooth-bottom shoes used in road cycling, The shank of mountain bike shoes is generally more flexible than road cycling shoes. Shoes compatible with clipless pedal systems are also frequently used. Clothing is chosen for comfort during physical exertion in the backcountry, and its ability to withstand falls. Road touring clothes are often inappropriate due to the delicate fabrics and construction. Hydration systems are important for mountain bikers in the backcountry, ranging from simple water bottles to water bags with drinking tubes in lightweight backpacks. GPS navigation devices are sometimes added to the handlebars and are used to display and monitor progress on trails downloaded from the internet or pre-made mapping systems, record trails on the fly, and keep track of trip times and other data. The GPS system is often a handheld GPS device with color screen and rugged, waterproof design. Pump to inflate flat tires. Bike tools and extra bike tubes are important as mountain bikers frequently find themselves miles from help with flat tires or other mechanical problems that must be handled by the rider. High-power lights based on LED technology, especially for mountain biking at night. Protective gear. The level of protection worn by individual riders varies greatly and is affected by speed, trail conditions, the weather, experience, fitness, desired style and numerous other factors, including personal choice. Protection becomes more important where these factors may be considered to increase the possibility of severity of a crash. A helmet and simple long-fingered gloves are regarded as sufficient for the majority of non-technical riding. Full-face helmets, goggles and armored suits or jackets are frequently used in downhill mountain biking, where their extra bulk and weight is outweighed by the consequences of bigger and more frequent crashes. Helmets provide important head protection. The use of helmets, in one form or another, is almost universal amongst all mountain bikers. The main three types are cross-country, rounded skateboarder style and full-face. Cross-country helmets tend to be light and well ventilated, and more comfortable to wear for long periods, especially while perspiring in hot weather. In XC competitions, most bikers use the usual road racing style helmets for the lightweight and aerodynamic qualities. Skateboard helmets are simpler and cheaper than other helmet types, provide greater coverage of the head and resist minor scrapes and knocks. Unlike road biking helmets, skateboard helmets typically have a thicker, hard plastic shell which can take multiple impacts before it needs to be replaced. The trade-off for this is that they tend to be much heavier and less ventilated, therefore not suitable for endurance-based riding. Full-face helmets provide the highest level of protection, being stronger again than skateboard style and including a jaw guard to protect the face. The weight is the main issue with this type, but today they are often reasonably well ventilated and made of lightweight materials such as carbon fiber. As all helmets should meet minimum standards, Snell B95 BSN 1078 to 1997. Or motorized ratings are making the way into the market. The choice of helmet often comes down to rider preference, likelihood of crashing, and on what features or properties of a helmet they place emphasis. Helmets are mandatory at competitive events and almost without exception at bike parks. Most organizations also stipulate when and where full-face helmets must be used. Body armor and pads, often referred to simply as armor, protect limbs and trunk in the event of a crash. While initially made for and marketed at downhill as free riders and street riders, body armor has trickled into other areas of mountain biking as trails have become steeper and more technically complex. Armor ranges from simple neoprene sleeves for knees and elbows to complex, articulated combinations of hard plastic shells and padding that cover a whole limb of the entire body. Some companies market body armor jackets and even full-body suits designed to provide provide greater protection through greater coverage of the body and more secure pad retention. Most upper body protectors also include a spine protector that comprises plastic or metal reinforced plastic plates over foam padding, which are joined together so that they articulate and move with the back. Some mountain bikers also use BMX-style body armor, such as chest plates, abdomen protectors, and spine plates. New technology has seen an influx of integrated neck protectors that fit securely with full-face helmets. There is a general correlation between increased protection and increased weight, decreased mobility. Although different styles balance these factors differently, different levels of protection are deemed necessary, desirable by different riders in different circumstances. Backpack hydration systems such as camelbacks, where a water-filled bladder is held close to the spine, are used by some riders for their perceived protective value. However, there is only anecdotal evidence of protection, and with the exception of one specific product by the company Deuter, they are never sold as spine protection. Gloves can offer increased comfort while riding by alleviating compression and friction. They provide protection in the event of strikes to the back or palm of the hand or when putting the hand out in a fall, and can protect the hand, fingers, and knuckles from abrasion on rough surfaces. Many different styles of gloves exist with various fit sizes, finger lengths, palm padding and armor options available. Armoring knuckles and the backs of hands with plastic panels is common in more extreme types of mountain biking. First aid kits are often carried by mountain bikers, so that they are able to clean and dress cuts and abrasions and splint broken limbs. Head, brain, and spinal injuries become more likely as speeds increase. All of these can bring permanent changes in quality of life. Experienced mountain bike guides may be trained in dealing with suspected spinal injuries. Seriously injured people may need to be removed by stretcher, by a motor vehicle suitable for the terrain, or by helicopter. Protective gear cannot provide immunity against injuries. For example, concussions can still occur despite the use of helmets, and spinal injuries can still occur with the use of spinal padding and neck braces. The use of high-tech protective gear can result in a revenge effect, whereupon some cyclists feel safe taking dangerous risks, because the key determinant of injury risk is kinetic energy, and because kinetic energy increases with the square of speed. Effectively, each doubling of speed quadruples the injury risk. Higher speeds of travel also add danger due to reaction time, because higher speeds mean that the rider travels further during his per reaction time. This leaves less travel distance within which to react safely. This, in turn, further multiplies the risk of an injurious crash.